welcome to episode 216 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Mayo.
Jeff, how you doing this fine Sunday?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing very good. Ready to chat some games. Ready to become the Elden Lord.
Yeah. Sorry, you got at least 100 more hours for that.
Probably. You're probably not that far off. Oh boy. Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yep.
Lots of exciting times. We have some new game announcements, some new gaming shows, presentations that happen.
Indeed.
And just get used to some Elden Ring talk probably every week for a very long time, to at least some degree.
Yep.
Which, speaking of which, Jeff, let us waste no time. How has your Elden Ring experience been since we last checked in?
Very good, Darby. Very good. How about yours?
Also, just tremendously good. Just crazy good.
A lot in this game, Darby. I can't remember where exactly we were when we talked last time, but...
No, I don't either. But, yeah, I mean, I'm like, I think I've crossed 60 hours, I think, at this point. I think I'm like near 65.
About 50.
And I have beaten 3 of the main bosses, but I mean, even that, like, you could do those super early in your playthrough or super late in your playthrough. It's just like
well, I think also based on speedrunners, you can also not do these.
You can also not do them. There's lots of things that you don't have to do in this game. But especially for us who are just bad, I need to do that. I need to do as many optional things as I can to get better. But it is like I have had a lot of these. There's been a lot of different bosses that, like, the first time I went to them, like, oof, this is real rough or whatever, and I've kind of forgot about them for a long time, and then like went back to them the last week, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like super manageable now. Like this morning, I beat one of the dragons that had been fucking me up before, and this time I just walked up and like threw rocks at it for like 30 seconds and it was dead. I'm like, all right, cool.
What a magic bitch.
Moving on. Yeah, I'm back to kind of being a DPS ranged filth monster.
Yeah. You're just making sure your name fits.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have a title to uphold.
Yeah. You are the race filth.
No, but legitimately, I mean, this game continues to be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Even this long in. I mean, I am getting a little bit to the point where it's like I should probably slow down with how much I'm playing it. I don't want to get burnt out on it, but it has nothing to do with the quality of the game. It's just a long ass game.
I agree. Like I've told you, I have no qualms about Kirby's coming out next week, and I'm putting Elden Ring kind of still playing it some, but not as much to maybe focus a little more on Kirby then. Just especially for GOTY talks, whatever. Luckily, this came out in the early part of the year, so we have all year to kind of do it and kind of do our own pace.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's such a feat just how much is in this game, and I don't want to spoil like hardly anything for anyone because there's just been so many like what the hell moments for me, like so many moments where I thought I knew what was going on and the game's like nope.
But you know how big the map was? It's like
yeah, that happened multiple times. And there's even like I still stand by when I talk to characters, I kind of don't give a shit about what they're saying, and I think their dialogue is kind of whatever. I mean, it's just like none of that really interests me that much. But it's such a weird dichotomy where it's like the characters I don't care about, the actual like A to B to C story I really don't give a shit about. But then there's like world building things that like Alex will talk about. It's all like environmental stuff. It's all like he found enemies like near the end of the game or like later, way later on because he's ahead of us that are like he's like I don't want to spoil it, but it's like he kind of got the sense that like these are like the real normal versions of these creatures, and the ones that we were fighting were like basically like enslaved monsters that were like weakened for like that they had like a body part chopped off because he got to another one. It's like it was the same creature, but it had this whole other thing on it or whatever, and the ones that we were fighting like had a hole in their chest or whatever. It's like so and there's like some other there's like things you can piece together the world that's like super enthralling and kind of just like those aha moments are really cool, but none of it is the actual storytelling, direct to you storytelling. I think that part of the game is weak, but the environmental storytelling is so cool that you kind of get into the world anyway, for me at least.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like Breath of the Wild in a way where it's more the environmental stuff. Obviously, they take a slightly different approach to it, but yeah, the actual words that are being said are just kind of whatever, but it also in kind of both games, not really that much of it, so it's whatever.
Right. Yeah, but they're remarkably similar in that way, where I think for both games, the story being told is the weakest part of the game, but it also does not put that in the forefront, So it doesn't really hamper the game at all. It's just, that's not what the game is about, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this has even more like environmental world building than even Hyrule, even Breath of the Wild's Hyrule did, because this is just so fucking dense. This game, it's just ridiculous, just how much is packed into here. I mean, they're kind of different worlds, and I love both of them, but Hyrule's a lot more sparse, which is cool in a lot of ways. It's just a different thing. But like, Elden Ring is big, but it's also like every part of the map will have like some huge dungeon or some big boss or something. It's like you're never really just in some barren landscape with nothing. There's always something, no matter where you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
A catacomb or a weird enemy. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how has the difficulty curve been going for you?
Been going good. I haven't really had too crazy of issues. I had same problem as you with I think what most would consider the second big boss, just because of what all she does. Me and you just did not put enough into vigor.
Yeah.
So she was kind of one-shotting us, even if I know my build made her inherently easier than yours anyway. But even with mine, it's like if I get kind of hit at the start of a combo thing, I'm just dead. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah. That would be my recommendation to anyone starting this and like hasn't played one of these games before. Even if you do magic and you think you don't really need health because you're going to be ranged anyway, you need some health.
Yeah. And then then Alice comes and helped me. We beat it first try.
Yeah. But that's the great thing.
And I did not take a hit.
That's the great thing. You could basically play this game as Monster Hunter.
Yep.
Which is also very fun. Yeah. I'm super digging it. I mean, this game's going to be up there on my greatest of all times list, though. And that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I just thought another comparison
sit for a bit.
Monster Hunter multiplayer thing. They're both very obtuse and annoying. Actually trying to get it to work.
Yes, you are correct. Very, very correct there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Elden Ring, I don't know if you've heard. That's good.
Yeah, good.
That's pretty good.
But all right, you know what also is pretty good? Sweet Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC.
We like to highlight small little indie games that don't really get very many sales here.
Yeah. 40 mil.
Only.
Minecraft has, I don't know, a lot.
GTA, somewhat like they mentioned, it was like 160 million copies.
Oh yeah, more copies of GTA 5's out in the wild than PS2's.
That's ridiculous.
Yes.
That is like actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mario Kart.
Why
are we talking about Mario Kart, Jeff? Why are we talking about this old ass game?
It got DLC after 50 years.
the DLC like complete game got DLC.
Yeah.
This is DLC for
almost
port,
exactly 5 years.
Port,
yeah, after 5 years after this port came out.
Yeah.
So this is the first Mario Kart 8, I guess, new track content. Yeah, they added a new battle mode and stages and stuff for that, and Deluxe, but actual new courses for more, new, and since probably 2015 or something. Yes. Probably when they released the last DLC course for that.
Yeah, and they are all going to be basically remixed, ported courses from previous Mario Kart.
Yeah, specifically, and this is something that will be, a big, something I gotta talk about with it. It's all remake courses from across the series, but particularly besides one, I think, out of this DLC pack, but they're pretty much all ported from Tour, the mobile game. They are up-res some, and they added some little new textures and stuff, but they are ported from that. And you can kind of tell in a lot of ways, especially if you compare it side by side between normal Mario Kart 8 courses. Just like grass has a lot less details in these courses than Mario Kart 8.
The proportions are weird, and it's not quite like Mario Kart 8 levels of. I mean, because the main course, that game's similar to Odyssey, and just how the fuck did you make this game look this good at the time that it was and the hardware it's at or whatever. So yeah, I mean, they are not quite as good, but it is kind of, it makes it sound bad, but they're kind of going for quantity over quality, but the quality is still very good. It's still, I'm just happy to have courses in this game, and it's not like the courses look bad. They still look very good. You know?
Yeah, and it's mainly from a look thing. There's some things you can kind of maybe nitpick about the actual courses, like maybe compared to old ones, like in Coconut Mall. The cars towards the end, with the Shy Guys are driving towards the end of the lap. They stay in place in this one, but they move like back and forth in the original version.
Oh, gotcha.
So, some people are like, oh, they could, why they changed that, and just kind of little stuff like that.
I mean, you could see with them porting it from the mobile version. I mean, I'm not saying it's just like easy, but it's probably a lot easier than like making a new track or a new old track, or whatever. And that them doing that is definitely why they're able to do, was it 45 tracks or
48, doubling it.
Like,
I think it's a mixture of that and why we're getting this anyway. Because while it's not like just simple copy and paste, it is significantly easier. Yeah. And they're, as we talked about, Mario Kart 9, 10, whatever the hell it's going to be called, is coming on the Switch too. And there's like, well, Mario Kart 8 is selling a lot. It's been let's just give them a little something since they got to wait at least 2-3 years.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be getting something. That's all I wanted. It didn't need to be a sequel. I just needed new Mario Kart in some way. After 5 freaking years.
Yeah, but as far as the actual tracks, I overall I think the quality is really good for those. I'm curious to see how it'll go in the future. The tour tracks in particular, it gets me a little more excited to get more of those because I think some of these are pretty interesting. Because like the Paris track, for instance, I don't know if you noticed, Darby, that was one of the ones we did play on yesterday. You didn't go back and play them.
No,
that's okay. You do the first 2 laps, and then at some point it changes to the 3rd lap. You're going through the course backwards.
It definitely messed with me. I would turned at the wrong spot. I'm like, oh no.
Yep. So you're going back the other way through the track.
That was fun
at that point. And Ninja Hideaway from Tour is freaking crazy. Like just you're inside buildings and outside buildings a lot, like go in and out. But every single time you're inside a building, there's an upper level and a lower level that are completely different. And it's like one of those few courses where you can jump off something and finish a lap or the race like really high up in the air with a glider. Yeah, like way above the actual finish line. And it's a bunch of crazy stuff going on with those. And then obviously they bring Coconut Mall and Chaka Mountain and stuff, which are really cool. Yeah. The only one that potentially I could see kind of weak is the Toad Circuit one. It's a fine track, but it's just very simple. Just a very, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. Just have kind of simple Mario Kart track, not something like crazy going on. Like I think it's Shroom Speedway or something like that. That one's crazy because there's just a lot of drift. Like it's like all drifting, and that's just kind of fun. Just kind of keep it apart. And overall, I think these courses are all pretty strong. You can talk about like some of the visual things. It can vary a lot, but overall, pleased so far.
But at least it gets to a base level of visual quality and everything, and then it just adds more variety to this game. So whenever you get together with all your friends or whatever, you have new courses finally to play, because you've been playing the same courses for years.
And there's been a lot of discourse about it online since it started. A lot, naturally, the internet, not a good chunk. Some of the internet is unhappy about it. Like, oh, this isn't worth it. I'm like, man, after just playing these, we're getting 6 times this amount. It's worth the $25 at the pass.
It's so cheap for how much you're getting there or whatever. And like, I'm not necessarily saying that I would probably be happier overall if we just had like new tracks with the level of complexity or whatever that the actual base game ones have. Like, I'm not saying that wouldn't be better, but it's like, with how much Mario Kart 8 was selling, if they didn't do this, they probably weren't going to do anything until the Switch 2 anyway. Yeah. I'm just happy to be getting something. I mean, I'm not saying it's ideal, but like, they were not going to put out Mario Kart 9 on the Switch. Like, when they know the Switch 2 was coming in at minimum, if the Switch 2 was coming anytime in the next 3 years, 4 years, then we're never gonna.
Yeah, and we talked about it. I think we kind of agreed that this kind of dates the Switch is not coming, at least until all this DLC is probably out by the end of 2023.
It's crazy. I mean, that's how big Mario Kart is that you can kind of predict that kind of things just based off of how they're treating it,
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they see, like, if we put out Mario Kart 9 now, we lose out on so much money, So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different timelines. I'm not saying this is the best timeline for Mario Kart or whatever, but it's a lot better than getting nothing, which is what we've gotten for many, many years. So it's like,
I think
So
when we spent the word announcement, I think it's
happy.
really good because we get all these tracks and they are very fun and all that. Again, the main thing is just kind of visual quality is not the best for it, but when you're racing, you're not going to notice it that much.
When we were racing, it did not feel like, oh, this is a huge step down. I mean, it felt like we were playing Mario Kart 8, and all the mechanics of Mario Kart 8, which are very solid and strong.
Yeah, and again, kind of introducing new, crazier things with the tour tracks, which for people who don't know, and Dari, I don't know if you know this, for the tour tracks, there are, I think for all of them, if not most of them, at least three different versions of them, where when you start a race, it kind of determines like which way you go and stuff. What they did for the 8 ones is just kind of combine them all. So depending on the track, it's like, okay, you have the option to go this way or that way, or it like with Paris, the last lap just changes and that's like a different version.
Okay.
So they just consolidated all the different versions of these stages to make these a little more like complex and interesting.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I imagine Ninja Hideaway is kind of the same, where maybe the different versions or the hiding in the ceiling or the normal ground level stuff, but they're just like, fuck it, put both of them in, let people go crazy with it.
That's cool. I like that.
Yep. So far, impressed and excited for more.
When's the next drop?
They haven't said, based on the time that they said by like the end of 2023, so we got about 20 months. I'm just imagining about every 3-4 months will probably be roughly. Kind of like Smash. I think it's the way to look at it, about the amount of time between Smash, probably what they're going for.
Cool. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, Darby.
All right, Jeff. You ready to talk about some news?
Yep.
You gonna hit me with a news jingle?
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
There it is. That's what I crave.
All right, time to talk about a weird thing.
Yep. It's gonna be like handling a bomb every time.
Yep. Sony had a couple state of play since we last recorded. Well, we're going to talk about both of them, but first we'll talk about what is kind of the bigger one, I would say, overall.
Yeah.
The one that focuses on a single game, and that is Hogwarts Legacy. And this is a weird game to talk about because, say it, fuck JK Rowling.
Yeah, JK Rowling is a goblin. It's actual, just
so
a human goblin.
It was kind of weird going to like, okay, how do we want to handle this? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to just address it. I mean, if you don't know, JK Rowling is on like a freaking crusade against basically all trans people, and it's horrific. It's just disgusting and it's awful. Yeah. And she's put so much money into it. It's not just a person with some bad beliefs. It's a person with some bad beliefs who are actually like putting things in motion to try to take away people's rights. And it's awful.
High people are like, conflicted as far as like Harry Potter stuff because she owns the IP. It's not like she sold it to Warner Brothers or something. Which that happened, that just made this a lot simpler.
And there are other examples of like, the creator's shitty, but they're not associated with it anymore. They don't get money from it anymore. So it's kind of separated.
Not for Minecraft, for a video game is the easy one to come to mind.
Right.
Yeah.
The way that I personally address this and other similar issues like this is I'm just like, it's very hard as a human being in today's world where it's just a lot of the things that you enjoy come from big companies that are a lot of times have very shitty people at the top of them, or like very shitty people are getting supported with them or whatever. And it happens constantly.
Yeah.
And, life's hard enough as it is. I will not begrudge people for enjoying something they love despite things like that. You can speak out against it or whatever, but like, because when you go down the rabbit hole of getting mad at someone for playing Hogwarts Legacy, then you're gonna have to get used to getting mad at people very often for a lot of things, probably including yourself, because you're gonna look like a hypocrite at some point. It's not easy. Like, none of this is easy. So whatever people would choose to do, I'm not going to like be mad at someone for I mean, like, I'll be mad at you if you cast aside and say like this is not an issue or anything like that. But as far as like actually playing the game and covering the game, because I also at the same time, I don't want JK Rowling to take away Harry Potter from people, like I don't want her to have the power to do that too. It's thorny, it's messy, and I don't have like a firm, I think it's very hard to have a firm grasp on.
Yeah, I think the general way is, like people don't like just decide to say this is a non-issue. Also, just kind of on. I hate when people do this, but kind of both sides of it. Like you said, do not attack people for enjoying this. Again, as long as they're not just saying this is a non-issue. Also, don't attack people because you see some of that who are boycotting this because this, this is a serious thing, and I think it's understandable if people do that because this is just an entertainment thing, and people don't feel comfortable with it. I think that's fine because again, JK Rowling is actually still makes money off the IP.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I don't fully know where I'm gonna sit either. I just know that JK Rowling, she's going to be a multi-millionaire until the day she dies, regardless. But yeah, I would never. I don't know where I'm gonna stand exactly, and I think you have to support people's decision, whatever they do. I mean, I just want to. I'm glad we're addressing it. I think the wrong. I wouldn't want to just talk about this game and not. Address the elephant in the room.
I guess I'll actually talk about the game because I'll just start open with this before we get into it. I feel for these devs because as well, especially since this game was starting being made before J.K. Rowling went on her crusade.
Right.
And they kind of, it seemed from what I've seen as much as they can denounced it, made it clear like J.K. Rowling has nothing to do with this. It sounds like they're trying to add some, as what they can do to make you create a character. They also make a trans character do like they them pronouns and that kind of stuff, which is appreciated.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, these people, it's not their fault at all, and that's them. Just like a lot of fans, like they're Harry Potter fans because they were a fucking child in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's like everyone was, and it's like a part of your childhood, and you don't want that taken away from you and everything. And it looks like they're making a pretty damn good game.
Yes. Yeah, I mentioned to you before you watched it, and it sounds like you might kind of agree. It seems like the kind of like the Hogwarts kind of game people wanted for sure. It's like how we were talking about it when the stuff leaked about it years ago. That's why, like our first year of doing this.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. The like mall footage thing.
Yeah. But I think the way they're doing this is really good and smart. Just Harry Potter is not involved, obviously the Harry Potter universe, but it's focused on Hogwarts, which. It's good for them because Hogwarts is as popular as Harry Potter. Like that name carries weight as much as like Harry Potter does.
It gives you freedom to kind of do whatever you want with the story.
This is set in the late 1800s, so long before Harry's actually born. Even Dumbledore, I think.
As long as Hogwarts is still standing by the end of it, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Pretty much.
Which I think is super cool because I think. And I played like Harry Potter. There was like one particular Harry Potter game I played like on the PS1 that was super fun. But it's like always I think the concept of this is way more fun for a creative character because everyone always thought when you were a kid like if you went to Hogwarts, what house would you be? What would you do? What kind of things would you do? Because it's very much like a school thing or whatever. And I think everyone does the Pottermore quizzes and everything. I mean, like Harry Potter, people like Harry Potter, the character, but I think people are also like, there's a lot of self immersion into the Hogwarts universe that people would want to do, or whatever. So I think that's way more exciting to be able to create your own character and choose your house, do all that, and do all the like Fire Emblem-esque social stuff. I mean, I'm honestly more excited about the around Hogwarts, doing classes, doing all that stuff than the combat. And I'm excited about both, but I'm definitely more excited about the social.
Well, the other thing that impressed me is like how much they showed you going around the castle, like Hogwarts, and out and going to town and all that stuff. Like, how big is this thing? Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, we're playing Elden Ring, so it's probably gonna be small compared to that. But
they
like
show
as
you
far as what we
riding the-
expected for this, yeah, I know you was like saying like showing riding the broom like Griffin and all that kind of stuff, which is like, yeah,
If you can just like land anywhere there, it seemed like they were like beyond the walls of Hogwarts. It's like, damn.
and they obviously been working on this game for quite a while.
Yeah. And it just visually does look very, very, very stunning, and like the inside and out. Like I feel like you're gonna have pretty free reign in Hogwarts to kind of roam wherever you want. And like I'm hoping it's the kind of thing. It's like almost like a Persona type thing where it's like you have a year, and however you decide to spend your time is gonna like affect things or whatever. And maybe you could play again and go do other classes or something. Like
yeah, I'm
hoping there's some element of
Yeah.
like you can't do everything. You have to make some choices.
They mentioned you going through the season and stuff, and they showed like a particular spot where it's cycled through. So depending on like what that kind of spot, it doesn't when you go through all the time, then it's whatever. But yeah, it's kind of when you kind of choose to go there.
Yeah,
It
it could
might
be
have
good
some-
either way, but I feel like that Persona-esque like style would work really well for
Yeah,
that.
and they kind of mentioned they showed like 3 particular students from 3 different houses that are like, here are an example of students you can kind of befriend and go through their storyline. And the way they made it sound like you can do this or you could not.
Yeah.
And it sounds like these characters potentially join you when you go out exploring and doing combat related things.
I wonder if you'll like meet different people, kind of depending on the house you choose to.
I'm wondering if I'm gonna go with kind of no on that, at least right now. I was talking with our friend Preston yesterday about it. Then we watching it, I kind of got the idea of like the Slytherin boy that they kind of showed multiple times when you dueled, and they mentioned like family secrets and all that kind of stuff. Preston and I were wondering, it's like, okay, does your house change maybe what these people's houses are, or at the very least, well, based on that, at least this boy is 100% Slytherin.
Yeah.
But it's like, does how he initially react to you change depending on which house you're in? Like, the example I said to press was like, okay, is he more antagonistic to you to the max if you're Gryffindor, more friendly if you're Slytherin, or kind of more neutral if you're the other
I would
two?
hope there's at least some flavor text,
I have to imagine so. And yeah, going back to choosing the houses, do you actually get to choose, or do you get or does it like do a little quiz thing, or maybe based on stats or something like that?
In some way, shape, or form, you choose, or like the worst thing is clearly not like you're gonna be one of them or whatever. It's not just gonna be like you're Gryffindor.
Yeah,
like everyone's Gryffindor. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, they showed the character as Gryffindor because that's gonna be the more popular one, but they also shifted through it like you saw wearing a Ravenclaw outfit and stuff.
And just all the like lobby area, like it's just the immersion seems pretty strong with the. You just feel like you're in Hogwarts and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
combat. We haven't really talked about.
Combat. I think it's very interesting because it's about what you would expect. It's kind of an interesting thing. Like it is kind of like an action combat, but it's like all long range, but it's not like a shooter.
It's I don't know exactly what I was expecting. It's a little different than I was expecting because it's like you said, it looks very action gamey. Like honestly, the closest thing I think it looks like is like Spider-Man, I think, where it looks like kind of lock on, juggle someone combo thing. Like it just looks like Spider-Man gameplay, except all long range, which is interesting. It's kind of weird. Like it doesn't really look like you're aiming things. It looks like you're locking on and then doing like a combo to someone, but you're keeping everyone kind of at range. So it does have something kind of interesting away from it. I have a good feeling that the combat's going to be my least favorite part of this game, and that by the end I'm going to be kind of tired of it. I'm predicting that right now because a lot of these type of action games I do think run out of good ideas and just start like throwing guys at you a lot, and I think that's exactly what happened with Spider-Man. Like I was not really enjoying the Spider-Man combat by the end of it, and I just think that a lot of these like super mass appeal action games just only have so many good ideas.
Well, the good news is, as far as that goes, based on what we saw, like comparing it to Spider-Man and probably other like contemporaries you would think about, this seems to have more focus on the outside combat stuff, at least based on what it showed than the other ones.
I think I could love this game and think the combat's mediocre. I mean, that's honestly kind of what I was at with Spider-Man. Like, I like Spider-Man a lot. I don't really think its combat is very good, but I still really like the game. I feel like I'll be the same way with this one. You know, like, and yeah, this looks like it has even more. Like, I would,
You're
yeah, I would expect
you're
to,
mentioning
like-
Persona stuff. This seems
Right.
to have kind of maybe more of that kind of split
Right.
between things.
Yeah, I think your time is going to be split at least half and half, if not more, towards the social stuff. So like,
And then the exploration, and they're showing like you can find dungeons and around the castle you can do spells to solve puzzles and find hidden areas and that kind of stuff. I feel like that's going to be just the bulk of the game.
Yeah, that's going to cover its weak spots.
Because like you were mentioning, like why people are like in us and people will be excited for this game is immersing yourself in the Hogwarts. And I feel like the best version of this game is the one where it goes all in on that.
Yeah, that's the strong. That's the hook. I think that's the. I don't think you're going into this game because like, yeah, I want to beat up some monsters. And stuff. You do, but like, I think the very big draw is I want to feel like I'm a student at Hogwarts.
Yeah, this is a game where I can see it. Like we're going to talk about like Elden Ring sales later.
Yeah,
like this potentially
it's
breaking that or getting close to it because Harry Potter has a lot of weight, and just the kind of game this is and how good it's looking, it's like this is going to sell gangbusters.
There's just been a drought of Harry Potter games, and really just hasn't been that many big, successful, popular, high budget Harry Potter games anyway. Really, that I know of. It's like another was the old PS1 game I played. But
and as we know, like with Spider-Man and stuff, if you make a good high quality licensed game, it will sell.
I would be stunned if this game didn't sell like a lot.
Yeah, especially since it's on everything. Apparently, also on native Switch,
which sus.
Yeah,
pretty sus.
Not cloud people, just on a cartridge.
Listen to me. Under no circumstance buy a Switch version of this game. Find something else. Like upgrade your PC. Do something. Find something else. Do not buy that game on that. Get it on the last gen consoles, the PS4 or whatever, before you get it on the Switch. Obviously, do not do that. Under no circumstances should you do that.
I guess this definitely be on my PS5/PC. Sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, it looks like it's taking advantage of it for sure. It looks modern in a lot of ways. The faces look a little weird, but the environments look very.
Yeah, well, here's the good thing about this. It's holiday 2022, which I have not mentioned, so they have a lot of time to kind of mess with that stuff a little bit.
I mean, I think a lot of games like think they have really good faces, and they look like just. Horizon is a good example. It's like a beautiful game and the character models themselves look good, but I think a lot of these super realistic games, like the faces like emote way too much. Like, hello, how are you? And like, oh God, it just looks uncanny.
Look at this movement.
It's like no one talks like that. No one moves their face that much when they talk. Yeah, it kind of has that going on, but overall, I think it looks very pretty. It's very good, very impressive.
You think it makes it this holiday 2022?
I think they're gonna try their damnedest because I think they want this to be like Christmas holiday game.
Yeah.
So I think yes, even if it comes in super hot and has lots of problems and everything. But I think that with a Harry Potter thing like that, I think they're gonna try. They're gonna really want that to be holiday. It might be a bad idea, but if it was another game, I would say, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's delayed. But
I think it might be a good sign that they showed this kind of, after the silence, showing this kind of look at it, like kind of far in advance, like it's holidays, so you expect it the earliest November. So that's a good 8 months.
Yeah.
So. And who knows, depending on what they're doing, this could be considered, well, no, it's multi-platform, but Sony's obviously putting a lot of weight behind this. Giving it, because this is the first non-exclusive third-party state of play, like specific state of play. Like Deathloop had one, but that was timed exclusive. This is coming out on everything right away. So Sony's like, we want our name attached to this thing.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even know this was had the state of play branding. I knew it was just a big Hogwarts presentation. But
Yep. Well, speaking of state of play, Darby. The week before, they had a general one that they said focused on Japanese developers. So naturally, you think Capcom and Square probably being there, and they were there.
You were correct.
Let's run down
Maybe
this
not
list.
the way that you would expect, but you were correct.
I have what I consider, I guess, the big uns, which ended up being a good chunk of the games, but whatever. First one, how they started the presentation. Let me paint a picture for you.
Paint me that picture, Jeff.
You have like this little robot AI, whatever the fuck it was. Weather lady being like, "Look out for raining dinos," or whatever the fuck she said, and everyone was like, "Huh?" Then dinos rain from the sky. It was like, "Huh?"
Nor video games.
A little more than like Capcom presents, and you're like,
Excuse me.
"Huh?" And then you have this. I'm not familiar with the franchise I'm leading to.
Pink-haired lady, red-haired lady.
Yeah.
Sure.
Everyone's like, and then a bunch of mech shits happen, which people are like, "Oh, but and then ends up being a game called Exoprimal.
Like, maybe
not
I'm into
Dino
this. I don't know.
Crisis.
Maybe I'm into this. Yeah.
It's coming to PS5 and PS4 in 2020.
Okay, I do not blame people at all because I did the same thing for making the Dino Crisis thing. When you see Capcom and you see dinosaurs, just like immediately that's where you're going to start going.
Well, especially with that girl there, it's like, what else could you think?
I will say after about a fourth of the way through the trailer, I think it stops looking really anything like what you would expect the Dino Crisis game to look like. And then especially when it was like a multiplayer shooter thing, I think like there's a certain point where it was like, if it didn't flash Capcom up there, I don't think any of us would be thinking it was Dino Crisis or whatever. I'm not saying like, Capcom deserves all of the like heat or whatever for people thinking it's Dino Crisis, but like, at the end of the day, it looks pretty different from.
I agree,
what I would think,
but I think it's very even. Like towards the end, people were like,
I mean, it could be just
again.
but
It's everything about it. Even if it like the gameplay was different, like it could have just been like the next step for Dino Crisis, and people would have lost their shit.
Yeah,
even if I think we hold probably a similar opinion that I am kind of half expecting this game to come out and kind of go away pretty quick. Even if it was Dino Crisis or not, Dino Crisis give it a little boom.
Yeah, it looks like that level of game and the multiplayer co-op PvE things or whatever. It's just very hard to.
Well, I think it's PvP and versus PvP.
It's both.
It's
because two separate PvEs going on, and then there's PvP
where you can fuck with each other or you can work together wherever the fuck.
So it's like you're trying to just finish first, basically. You're trying to beat all your enemies first, or whatever. Which, I mean, that's not. If you think about the games that are really popular, that's not really a game style that's, I would say, is like super popular. I can't think of many games that's the objective. So I mean, maybe that's an angle, but I do have to agree. I think that this game we'll probably just never hear about it again. Or hear about it once when it comes out, and then
everyone will be playing it on Twitch for like a week.
Yeah,
everyone's like, "Oh, this is a hot shit," and then the next week it's like,
I didn't have a whole lot of interest in it. I imagine you felt the same looking at it. Me and you did kind of disagree with it. And I think there's a chance you're right, but I do not really think that this makes the possibility of a Dino Crisis any less. Like, I think that this is a separate thing.
Oh, no. I agreed on that part. The thing I said is I could have seen this being originally pitched as Dino Crisis. Like, this project was originally Dino Crisis, and it just evolved. Like, the idea that the mechs just came into play, and it changed into something else, is what I said. I think Dino Crisis could still happen.
Right.
I just said I think this project in its very early stages could have been initially Dino Crisis.
Got it. Yeah. So I mean, I still think, and there might not be a Dino Crisis coming, but I don't think this has any bearing over if there's a Dino Crisis.
I think the smart play is to do an RE2 style remake of Dino Crisis.
I mean that's what you really expect to see when
the hope is this was originally Dino Crisis, and they're like, okay, this involves something different, and then there's like, why don't we just do the obvious thing?
Just do
the thing that people actually want.
Do the thing that will make us the money.
Yeah.
I would be more into, in theory, a Dino Crisis than Resident Evil, because like the campy goofiness, I don't know, I could like get into slaying some dinos and just fighting some generic zombies. It's just not super fun to me.
But what about fighting Gundams, Darby? In a free-to-play Overwatch style game.
I will tell you, this is the most interest I've ever had after watching a trailer for a Gundam game. I mean, that interest is still not like super big, but it is the most.
Yeah. Talk to Alex and Olivia, and they said they're into trying it. I was like,
that's about where I'm at. Yeah. Like, I would try
like, why
it
not?
Everyone else. Yeah.
I like Gundam. I don't see in this what inherently is Gundam about this.
They are gun like it has they have the eyebrow Gundam model,
No, I mean, like,
the model that you see.
I mean, for the most part, this could just be like random soldier guys and maybe
oh yeah,
a little
no,
fancy
gameplay wise, no.
It looks like there are a little bit. Some of them like using their fancy weapons like swords and shit. Maybe hopefully have a little more of that injected into it just to kind of, put a little more, making the characters
to weeb it up a bit.
Yeah, weeb it up a bit. I need them to weeb it up. I need a Gundam to do burning finger on a mofo. That's all I'm saying.
It sounds fun, whatever it is.
Yeah. It's like his hand kind of like glows and kind of catches on fire, or really heats a gun on fire. And he like grabs their face or whatever and like really hurts them.
Sounds like a Doom ability.
Yeah. Gundam's wild, man. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Cowabunga Collection.
Best enjoyed with a slice of pizza.
Avi, come on, man. And yeah, so this has like all the games.
just all of them.
Like every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, like from the NES through like the Game Boy, including like Japanese versions and just the different console versions, so, like the Genesis and SNES versions, like Turtles in Time and
this is like the retro game / games preservation dream. This is like what we wish that like all these franchises would do. Is just like put them all, just bring them all.
Yep.
That's very cool. Very, 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 very cool collection.
Yep. And it's coming to everything, so nice. Yep. And they also added just more stuff in there. Like I think there's like concept art and a bunch of shit from the original games, like just never before release shit related to that and all that. So if you're a fan of these games, like this dream, I think it's like $30-$40 too.
No, it is a no-brainer for people who are into TMNT games.
Also online for a couple games like Arcade Fighters and I think one of the versions of Turtle in Time and I think the original TMNT for the NES.
Wow, that's cool.
Yes,
super cool.
The big one for me, Jojo Bizarre Potential All-Star Battle R, baby.
Deal, Brando.
Yeah, I'm sure this caught people off guard and well, for multiple reasons and disappointed people initially because they're like the way they set it up is like the comeback. They mentioned Bizarre in it in hindsight. It's like, okay, yeah. But the return of a fan favorite. Yeah. Then it's like walking down, I was like, what is this? And then the obvious Japanese lettering is like, oh, okay, it's JoJo. This happens, it's like, oh shit. So for people who don't know what this is a port of a PS3 yes, of a PS3 JoJo fighting game that's only on the PS3 to my knowledge. And what makes it interesting, the one that's currently on the PS4 and I hadn't played a little bit is an arena fighter. Well, this is like a 2.5D fighter, kind of akin to Tekken. So it will have, more like a normal fighter, obviously, and better. But what's interesting,
it makes me interested in at least playing it with you guys. With the arena fighter, I would be like, nope.
Yeah. So like when Darby was like port, the reason is they're adding and changing a whole bunch of shit. For one thing, they are changing the art style a little bit. They're enhancing the graphics like a normal like remaster or whatever, but they're changing the art to match like the anime more, like colorings and all that kind of stuff. So people have their anime colors as their default instead of their manga colors. The manga colors will be in there as different colors, I imagine, but that'll be nice. And they changed the voice actors for it because at the point when this game was made, only parts 1 and 2 had premiered. Part 3 wasn't even announced yet.
Wow. So
they had to change a lot of those voice actors.
that's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's practically a new game in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and they said they did adjustment to fighting tempo in addition to the addition of hit stops and jump dashes. So they're just inherently changing the way it plays.
That's awesome.
They also added assist in there, which was not in there. Yep. So you can't swap between the fighter, but yeah, they just do the assist, which is obviously just a big addition.
Okay. So it's just a one-on-one.
Where you just have a guy hop in and do stuff. It's now 60 frames per second instead of 30, which always nice,
especially for a fighting game.
Yep. A revamped single player because apparently the one in the original sucked. But that we don't know exactly how it works. But there's just a screenshot that's just like, okay, this is just completely different. They're like, okay, yeah, we realize this sucks, so we're changing it. Nice. But the besides all this, something also nice is they're adding 10 new characters to the game, at least. They said 50. There are 40 that they showed at the end. They showed the roster of all the characters that were in the original All-Star Battle, and then just 10 blank slots on there. Well, they removed one character, which was from Araki, the Jojo author, previous manga. They just added the main character from that into for the funsies. They apparently removed him for this, probably some rights issue thing more than anything.
Yeah.
So people were thinking, okay, maybe they're just adding people from Eyes of Heaven, the 3D arena game that came out later. No, that's not the case. Apparently,
It's all new.
there going to be some overlap because there are two characters in one of the screenshots that we know who they are. One is Trish from Part 5, who is very obvious. She's like the main part, part of the main crew of Part 5, and it's nice to have another female character in this game.
Yeah, not very many.
Yeah, and also, I'm bad at pronouncing the name, Prosciutto, who is also from Part 5, who was not in Eyes of Heaven, and it's a very interesting character to add because his stand ability is making people old.
Yeah, I remember talking about that.
Yeah, and the only way to counteract it is to have something like touch or like have something cold in your mouth like ice cubes, so they counteract it by
Just making a JoJo fighting game with the JoJo powers seems like such a difficult but interesting challenge.
So they're going with the crazy characters but also adding different ones, so I'm very curious who they add.
I'm sure you're hoping it's mostly like kind of newer parts, since I imagine the game is pretty heavy on like parts, the earlier parts, just because
the later parts definitely do have less than especially parts 7 and 8. 8 had only like 2 years of serially, like only been going on for like 2-ish years at the time. I think I only had like 1 or 2 characters in this game.
Gotcha.
So I imagine they'll get more of that. But yeah, I am very excited for that.
Well, hell yeah, happy. It sounds like you're practically getting like a new JoJo fighting game in a lot of ways. So.
Yes, and yeah, they upped the upstart, like, redid the art style a little bit, making it look better. But the art style for these JoJo games hold up really well, just because the JoJo art style inherently. Like I get them mentioning during Jump Force, talking about Jump Force, like the graphics and the character models aren't good besides the JoJo characters for whatever reason. Or actually pretty good.
They're just perfect.
This is true.
Fabulous, amazing, man.
Yeah, it's coming this fall. Trek to Yomi. Got a little thing about that. Got a little story trailer. Showed off a list of actors for this thing.
Yeah, which surprising.
Yeah,
humor bait.
Yep, coming in spring. It was in the Xbox ID and Xbox name. Open, fingers crossed, it's on Game Pass. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it does look neat. The visual style is very cool.
Yep.
Very like samurai, black and white type thing, but
yeah, and having the story hook in there as well also will be cool.
Yeah,
make it stand apart.
Neat.
Returnal got an update, pretty beefy update. Returnal Ascension it's going to add co-op to the like single player campaign.
Which is awesome. Yeah,
to at least parts. I think most of. I think there's like just the house sections, which are kind of walking around anyway.
Yeah,
they're doing that, but that's crazy.
I want to be the little brother, just like getting in the way in the house.
Yep. And also a new like tower thing, like gauntlet little thing you're going up there that apparently it's like has story implications as well, which is crazy, and it's free.
And then like
it's coming out like this upcoming week.
It seems like for a free update, it doesn't look like a free update.
No,
it's like you have all the things that they talked about, so that's pretty cool.
Yep. Returnal fans, they happy.
They eating.
All right, Darby. Well, towards the end of this, we got a couple new Square Enix games. First one is the Diofield Chronicle. Darby, I gotta say this, Sony failed with this because they did not have this right after JoJo and have it was me Dio joke.
They really should have. They dropped the
ball. I don't know how a good way to do it, but they should have tried.
But you had to. You had to make it sound.
This is a strategy RPG that is coming later this year. Kind of more of like it's more like a Valkyria Chronicles style strategy RPG where you're kind of like controlling the characters instead of just.
Is it like a real-time movement like Valkyria Chronicles? Or is it...
Yeah. It's not. Like, the reason I didn't say real time is not like real time. It's just kind of Like you're taking turns, but you're actually controlling and moving around the character.
We don't really have a word for Valkyria Chronicles thing. It's interesting. Like when you move your character, the enemies are moving at the same time you're moving your character, so it's kind of more real time than a normal just turn-based thing, but it's still kind of turn-based. So it's
yeah.
It's weird.
Oh,
it's cool. I like it. We don't really have a good word for it.
Oh yeah, it's kind of going that.
I think this thing looks awfully generic and kind of uninteresting.
I like the general idea for it, but it doesn't help that this coming out at a time where we're getting a load of strategy RPGs, including one from Square Enix that just released that I am far more interested in and we'll get at some point.
With Triangle Strategy. That's like, there's just no way I'm going to play both of those games, and it's pretty obvious.
And again, with other strategy games, Mario plus Rabbids coming out. That's the one I wanted to play the most. Digimon Survive supposed to come out at some point.
And the story, there's just some of these JRPG stories, especially for these like lower budget ones, these like tier 2 and AA ones, where the stories, and especially the story trailers, just feel like they're written by an algorithm. Where it's just the Red Nation and the Blue Nation with these names that you've already forgotten, and they're mad at each other. But then this Blue
Yellow Nation is neutral, or so they have to get involved.
And I think Kyle Bosman made fun of it in a very real way, where it's just like he played the audio for the trailer, and it's just a bunch of nothing. It's, how could you do this? It's like, I have to do this. But what will happen? It's just a bunch of like random lines that's like, it's just kind of nothing. It's just word salad, and I don't know.
I probably agree about this game, but for this game and probably the next game we're about to discuss, if you're interested in it, just wait a couple weeks. It will probably be discounted very fast.
I mean, at least the DFO Chronicle looks like it's it looks like it's a real legit game that is just very kind of generic and boring. This next one just looks rough. This next one does not look like a completed game.
Valkyrie Elysium from the Valkyrie Profile series, like the first one since like console ones like the PS2, I believe, also coming out later this year. Square just trying to pump out them games. Yeah, I played I think Valkyrie Profile 2 back in the PS2 days. I enjoyed it. Don't really have much interest in this based on what I saw. Kind of like what you were saying about the genericness of how things looked. This is kind of more in the action RPG space.
Yeah, it looks very rough. There was clipping hair in the trailer.
Yeah,
like if that's in your trailer, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Again, Square's pumping things out. Like Star Wars supposed to come out this year. Like they're putting out all these quote unquote mid-tier Japanese titles. Like, man, you're putting these two close together and closer to your big guys, because if this come out later this year, you're gonna have like Forspoken come out and potentially Final Fantasy 16. Who knows? No. Like you're sending these out to die.
You are. It was already gonna be hard.
Yes, they're doing well enough to get to keep on making them.
I guess.
Yeah. Hopefully Triangle Strategy does well enough.
I think they're all made by an algorithm, so no one has to make them anyway, so it's fine. It's just,
I didn't have it in here, but I did see, I think Triangle Strategy already sold about 1 million. That's good.
I have not heard anyone talk about that game. I keep thinking that it is not out yet. They keep thinking that it's like coming out in a few weeks.
But that's because Elden Ring's out.
Fair. No, that's very fair.
In our circles, but yeah, again, that's a game I do want to play something, because I'm hearing all the right things from the right people. It's like, okay, this sounds like it's...
It sounds like you really gotta strap in for lots of dialogue and story. It sounds like it's like more visual novel than it is strategy game. You know, the scales are more heavily towards there, which is fine. It's just like you need to be ready.
It sounds like from what I saw that was kind of more of an early on thing. Like it was very like front heavy with it, but then it kind of more evens out later on.
Gotcha.
So it sounds like at least it's not going to be like Digimon Survive is supposed to be. Yeah. Which I'm forward to Digimon Survive.
Well, yeah, that's definitely trying to be that. My only worry was I didn't think the writing and everything in Octopath Traveler was very great. Yeah. And this seems very similar to that, so I just hope that it stepped up a little bit.
Another new game announcement, Darby, one I am excited for, and that is The Quarry from Supermassive, coming out of nowhere. This is going to be published by 2K.
When will Supermassive make a Super Giant game? Like they should take a Super Giant game and make their own game. So you have Supermassive cross Super Giant.
Hades horror game.
There you go. There you fucking go.
Everyone fucking dies. But it turns out you playing as Zagreus was the killer all along.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Let's see. But yeah, that was announced. They're considering this one the spiritual successor to Until Dawn, like compared to the Dark Pictures anthology, which are kind of not kind of, they are their own thing. There are these smaller like set pieces things that kind of connect together. While this
is the one they're evoking the name.
Yes. Besides, developers of Until Dawn, they're like, yeah, this is more of the Until Dawn sequel that people were kind of hoping, like expecting for. This is a more full title. This is one they, according to the actors for this, which I want to get to in a second, working on for years, and this is gonna be more of a full title. They're saying like, as long as you don't literally kill everyone off at the earliest possible thing, playtime's like 10 plus hours. 7 hours, which is longer than any of the Dark Pictures anthologies if you just kill everyone off as early as possible.
Which, of course we will.
Yeah. For our group of friends, yeah.
We might. We sure might. Yeah, I think it looks neat. I mean, I don't think the trailer was as like immediately grabbing as like Until Dawn, but I mean, part of that was just Until Dawn. It was just such a new thing, and it was, it's like it's always going to be harder after that, but I mean, I could tell from looking at the trailer that it like looks like, especially all the actors and everything, that it seems like more budget was put into this, and it's like it feels so superficial for me to be excited about this, and I haven't been excited about any of the Dark Pictures things when they're all like similar types of games, but it's just Dark Pictures just feels like this giant rabbit hole that I've missed out on. So it's like it's dumb, but I am more interested in this one.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is a teen horror more akin to Until Dawn, where you play as 9 camp-like counselors. They're being left behind or whatever because I guess someone forgot to fill the gas tank or some shit is what I got out of the trailer, and they're all gonna die now. Each character apparently has 10 to 12 potential deaths.
Nice.
Throughout the story, and local co-op is available, kind of like Dark Pictures had.
Yeah.
Where at the beginning or I imagine it's the same. I've seen it for Dark Pictures where you just kind of at the beginning, it's like type in your name for who you want to play this character, and then once it switches player, like it's blank's turn. Like,
right.
Okay.
That's basically how we played Until Dawn anyway, so it's cool. It's just in the game now.
Yep, and online, people vote on actions instead of the whole switching.
That is one of the coolest things, that people just like played the game that way, even though it wasn't meant for it, and the developers just latched onto that.
It's like, oh well, what you all did made sense, so we're going to make our games with that in mind from now on. And no other studio has tried to copy it, so
no.
They have their niche.
Yeah, they're like Telltale but they definitely have their own spin on it.
And I like how it's probably because we're getting the next Dark Pictures anthology game in Halloween. I like how this is the summer camp game we're getting in the summer.
Yeah,
it's kind of like fitting the general vibes and all that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I'm very excited for this. But let's talk about quickly some of the cast. I'm not gonna go over all of it because some of these mean nothing to me, unfortunately. Ariel Winter seems to be the big one they have on the top of the list from Modern Family and Speed Racer. I don't know if that's probably one that means more to people. I think she's like one of the first names.
Mm-hmm.
They have Ethan Suplee, who was in The Wolf of Wall Street. Remember the titles? My Name is Earl. You watch My Name is Earl?
A lot of it. Who was he?
He was the brother.
Okay,
but
nice.
He has slimmed up and has gotten jacked.
That's awesome.
So he did a David Arquette from the Scream franchise.
Nice.
Perfect.
Nice. Awesome.
Let's see. Lynn Shay from the Insidious franchise. Mal Robbins from Halloween 2018. Let's see. Brenda Song. They have different places for like on here, Dollface and Social Network and New Girl. But me and you know her specifically from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody as London Tipton.
Okay. Very nice.
They got, let's see, Justice Smith from Detective Pikachu and Jurassic World, and Ted Raimi from Evil Dead, Spider-Man, and Xena Warrior Princess, and a whole bunch more. This has a whole bunch of actors in it.
That's awesome.
But actually, they're setting up as it looks like a bunch of locals might be killing people, like killing the teenagers, but then it'll probably go into some crazy twist.
This trailer didn't
There's more going
reveal anything
Which is
about what
good.
is
So, like,
going
it-
on.
I get what you're saying. It's like it did show too much, but it's also kind of like you don't want it to.
It needs to, it needs to do that. It needs to do that. I mean, Until Dawn did a very good job of like showing some things that's like, oh yeah, this is what's going on, and you play the game, and it's like, no, there's a lot more. There's a lot more under, and I'm sure this will kind of do some of that with future marketing.
The good thing is, I don't expect too much to probably hopefully be spoiled unless they go crazy with the launch trailer, because this comes out in less than 3 months,
Which is awesome. Yeah,
that's
the way
not
to
a crazy amount of marketing time, which I'm personally happy about. Just less chance of them spoiling shit.
Yeah, we need to
So I'm in on this game.
get the crew together, make a night of it.
I know Alex and Olivia are in. I'm going to just assume if they're not, don't already know what this is, already in, Preston and Megan will be in.
Absolutely.
Well, during time, talk about your favorite game.
I mean, I like it. I put a lot of hours into it. I want it to be good.
Overwatch 2, aka Overwatch 1. Let's talk about it. We got a big dev update, Darby. Just kind of finally. Well, they said, hey, yo, beta next month. And now a bunch of influencers and pro players and shit have the alpha right now. Yeah. Finally, when Overwatch League starts like next month.
Yeah.
They finally get to play the thing that they're going to be playing for money.
Start playing the video game that you got to play for money right now.
But the most important thing is they are splitting up PvP and PvE to get PvP out faster, which is something they should have done 2 years ago, or at least announced they were doing.
Yeah.
We talked about it, or maybe I just talked to Alex about it, I can't remember. But I'm wondering if part of the reason this decision was made now is because of the Microsoft acquisition. Obviously, they can't talk to Microsoft. Like they couldn't have like gone to Microsoft and be like, "Yeah, do this." But maybe because they know that is happening, they're immediately like internally like, "Okay, we got to change the way we're thinking."
We don't have to, we don't have to listen to Activision as much anymore.
Yeah, it's like, or Activision was more lax, and I was like, "Okay, fine, do it."
We don't care at this point.
Yeah. I could see that partly being especially with the timing.
Yeah, like maybe the stranglehold got a little less.
Yeah, which
tight on it.
I hope we get in early.
I wonder what early means.
The early would be the earliest would actually be we get in the thing that's in late April, but it sounds like what they're doing with this is apparently we didn't play the well, at least me and you did not play the Overwatch beta, the Overwatch 1 beta. So it sounds like what they did here is usually when a major patch or update hit it, that they sent out another group of invites just kind of throughout the process of it. And it sounds like that's what they're doing here. Gotcha. But hopefully we just get, at least we get in during the initial thing.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I have some level of optimism. It's taken way too long and it was handled very poorly, but
and
there's some cool things.
At least right now, we got to see how they actually do it. I think Blizzard is saying the right things because, as we talked about, the people that are actually working at Blizzard, the ones working on this game, knew what they were doing was stupid and bullshit and the wrong way to go about it. And what I've seen from all this stuff, they were very apologetic about it, and I'm just kind of like, we are going to do more updates. Not more updates from like compared to the last 2 years. Just more updates compared to Overwatch 1. We are going to be more vocal about stuff. We are going to do more things.
Think people have a right to not believe them until they see it. Because even the new guy, Aaron Keller or whatever, whenever he came up there, he said, "Okay, we're going to give you monthly updates from here on out." He literally said that, and then they didn't have any update until now. It was like almost a full year after that. So they directly said, "We're going to do this," and then didn't do it. Obviously, they've gone through a lot of turmoil recently, and it's somewhat understandable. But I think everyone should take don't trust this company until you have something good in your hands. I think they have not earned trust. Definitely, like Overwatch 2 has to be a big redemption tour. Everything Blizzard does now has to be a redemption tour. That's just kind of where the company's at.
At least what gave me more optimism about keeping kind of closer to this promise compared to that one is fact the game will be out.
Yes, there is a product that people can play now, so it's like we're getting there. We are very slowly getting there. I am gonna be shocked if Overwatch League is not some version of a mess. There's gonna be some weirdness no matter what.
Because I feel like with all this, especially since this is a fucking alpha/beta they're technically playing on, they might have to. I know they kind of waited for certain things before patches to it. They may have to be a little more lenient on things because they were talking, saying Sojourn, the new character, is busted, and talking about other things that are completely busted in this game. So they might have to be a little more wishy, more flexible with patches.
You can
in
have
Overwatch
that
League
just from releasing a new character for the base game, much less having this whole new game with this new format that you have not been able to adequately test because all you've had is your internal QA and that's about it. And now it's like it's going to be on prime time. Like usually games do not hit a big stage like that when they're in a beta. Usually it's just a bunch of people are streaming it, and if there's issues, it's like, well, it's a beta. Now it's like, well, you have a whole league of that's people's full-time job is to play this.
Yep.
I don't envy the team. I'm sure they're like nervous as hell for the Overwatch League to start and wish that it just wasn't this year,
Yep. And just with everything going on, even regardless of Overwatch League from fans is going to be more under the microscope.
Yes. Yeah. Or at the very least, Overwatch League just needs why isn't Overwatch League just playing Overwatch 1 this year? It feels like a marketing move, but it doesn't really feel like a move that they're ready for, probably. But
yeah, I'm curious, to see generally how players feel. Cause I'm sure in some ways, they're like, we're playing this game we haven't had much time with, or it's going to be like this. But also, if they play Overwatch 1 on their off time, they're going to be messing around with Overwatch 2 as well.
For sure,
and I'm imagine at least on some level they're happy not bouncing between the two.
There's no good option, but this just feels I'm just very nervous for them. We will see.
Well, obviously, Darby and I will talk about Overwatch 2 when more news happen, and especially if we get into that beta, we will be talking about all of them sweet details.
100%.
Something that does not involve sweet details is what's going on with the initiative, Darby.
Yeah.
People who do not remember, the initiative is the quadruple A studio that Microsoft made to work on Perfect Dark.
You already had a bad start when they're like boasting something like that.
Yep, this comes from Andy Robinson from Video Game Chronicles. As much as half of the core development team known to be working on the upcoming Perfect Dark reboot quit the company during the last year, or around 36 people analysis of employee LinkedIn profile has revealed. That includes most of the initiative's senior design team, including game director Dan Newberger, design director Drew Murray, lead level designer Chris O'Neill, principal world builder Jolyon Myers. Yeah, I have trouble speaking. 2 senior system designers, a group of 3 former God of War designers, and more. And the turnover of top talent doesn't end in design. Perfect Dark's 2 most senior writers also recently quit, analysis shows, along with the project's technical director, tech art director, lead gameplay engineer, lead animator, QA lead, and more. According to LinkedIn, the initiative is now less than 50 people when duplicates, former employees, and erroneous listings are removed, and currently has just 3 roles advertised on its website. Analysis suggests it hired around 12 people in the past 12 months. The timing of the departures coincide with September 2021 announcement that Crystal Dynamics has been signed to co-develop Perfect Dark. This, combined with the few job roles currently advertised at the initiative, suggests that the Tomb Raider developer is likely taking a much stronger lead than first thought on the project. Oof.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great, I will say.
As far as I could tell, there's not a particular issue that has been said for why this is a thing. It might just be simple as
there's something,
yeah, creative issues. Hopefully, it's nothing like harassment related
that
or
is
something.
A mass exodus for sure.
And just all the big people.
And we've been talking about Microsoft not really having turbulent development issues with a lot of these things. Well, here you go.
Yeah,
here's something.
What they're saying, their biggest studio.
It sounds like it was probably just something that was super ambitious and just kind of maybe spiraled out of control in some ways or whatever.
Yeah, so it's sounding like pretty much the Crystal Dynamics is making a first-party game for.
So now it's basically become a third-party game. It's made by a third-party developer. Mm-hmm. Probably costs more that way. Probably have to pay Crystal Dynamics more. So probably not ideal for them and whatever money you've lost in all this time. And it's just another thing that just shows like whenever we see those teaser trailers, they're all kind of fake. Like this game was,
like this game not coming out for quite a while.
Yeah, it's not a game.
Don't expect it.
Not the game yet. And yeah, this means that like you should not even put your excitement out for this, because like you have many years to wait. You need to get
Also, don't
close.
be surprised if it just never comes out. I mean, just with this kind of exodus, and just
It depends. I mean, if it just becomes a Crystal Dynamics game, then maybe they'll just make it. It'll just come out really, really long time from now. But at the very least, I would just not think about it, because it's gonna be a long, long time.
At least it wasn't Fable Studio, Darby.
Thank God. Thank God. That would be.
Maybe we'll hear about that at whatever the equivalent of E3 is.
Yeah, a lot more torn up about that. That's for sure.
Yep. So yeah, how much to say? This just
Yeah, it just sucks. Yeah,
Yep.
there's not. I mean, we don't even know the reason. It's just
Yep.
a bummer, especially if you were looking forward to that game, which I'm not necessarily. But
Mm-hmm. Darby, let's talk about fighting games.
Ooh.
Talk about that EVO. That EVO got announced. We talked about, I think, in the last podcast that Smash wasn't going to be there.
It's
They announced
dead.
that. Yeah.
Super
is dead.
Smash Brothers is dead.
Yep. Sora killed him.
Mm-hmm.
God. Son of a bitch.
They got Norded.
Got Norden. Okay, so yeah. We have the list of games. All of these games are going to play on the PS4.
I want
PS4, yeah. Well, it makes sense even regardless of Sony. But the games that are going to be at EVO 2022 are going to be Street Fighter V Champion Edition. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Guilty Gear Strive. Yeah. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. Tekken 7, The King of Fighters 15, Melty Blood Type Lumina, Dragon Ball Fighters, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and Skullgirls Second Encore.
Skullgirls feels good.
Yeah, definitely the feel-good game.
That's feel good.
I know, like, a lot of people were able to kind of predict at least about half these games. Like, Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, Tekken, and King of Fighters were, I would say, the main ones. Like, these are obvious. Even Mortal Kombat wasn't obvious.
No.
Really at this point.
Good.
But people are predicting, and let's get into it now, that the reason Mortal Kombat's here is because NetherRealm's going to have an announcement there.
Yeah, I mean, we just assumed that they were going to be, what was it, Game Awards? We all just assumed.
Oh,
that
we're just at the point
yes,
because
it's gonna happen.
they were on an every 2-year schedule from Mortal Kombat 9 until Mortal Kombat 11.
So, I mean, this could be any time now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and we're 4 years away from Mortal Kombat 11?
Yeah, 2019. I think.
Yeah, 2019. So 3 years away? Yeah. It's
imminent, it feels like it would
yes.
be.
So yeah, that's expected.
Yeah.
Whether we get the full game announcement before here or maybe before, and this is like a big character gameplay showplay.
I think the big news ones is like Skullgirls, Grand Blue, Melty Blood.
Yeah.
I think those are like
Even
the
Fighters is
big
not the
surprise.
most.
Yeah, I thought that Fighters was not in it until we pulled this up, and I was like, oh, hey, it's still there.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Just because it's still getting support.
Yeah,
it just got a character.
No, it's super popular. It should. I mean, and it's a fun game to watch. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's a fun game. Let's see. Yeah, Melty Blood, kind of surprising, and Grand Blue people were not sure about.
Yeah.
Also, something that is surprising about it not being here, especially now, because I think yesterday it got a release date. DNF Duel. It just got a release date for June, so kind of surprised me that's not there. Or I guess because they obviously talked to the developers, so they probably talked and maybe knew this was coming out. So
yeah, that is slightly surprising. But like Grand Blue, from what I've heard, there's a lot of people who say it might be like Arc System Works' best game, really like close to it or whatever, but it's just obviously an IP that the West knows nothing about because we don't have Grand Blue.
I think it was kind of surprising, because even if it's a good game, like you said, it's not exactly popular.
Yeah. Apparently it's insanely popular in the East.
Yeah.
It's just the West, we don't even have Grand Blue like anything here, really. Really, it's just not an IP we even have, so it's just can only get so popular here or whatever. But I mean, a lot of people have said mechanically wise, it's like, one of the more interesting Arc System Works games. Not that, I mean, all of their games are good. But yeah. So, I mean, that's it. And then Melty Blood seems like the most niche thing on here, but that feels good. I like when they throw at least one or two, like, that community can just go crazy. They're like, oh, shit, we're on the main stage. Let's go.
Yep, and obviously, it's like same thing with Score Girl. It's like, after all the time, it's like, Oh, here you are.
Yeah.
Okay, and they are releasing new content, or have released new content, which
Skull Road's
I
a
think
good
me and you
game.
both thought we need to mess with.
I did, yeah. I played it a little bit, and it was a really cool game. I was hoping like them's fighting herds or something crazy like that.
Yeah, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid snubbed again,
Yeah. It's just
which is a shame. It's
perpetually
so
snubbed.
good.
Perpetually snubbed.
Not talked about enough.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, Darby, continue talking about fighting games. We're going to talk about one of the particular games on there, and that is Guilty Gear Strive. Last night, around with the DNF duel announcement, got some Guilty Gear announcements, including the final character for Season Pass 1, Testament, who hasn't been a playable character in 10 years, apparently, and got a nice redesign.
Grabbed our attention.
Yep.
They're hot.
Yep. Yeah, what also adds to this is this character is now officially non-binary, and if you look at the little fairies they have with, it's the color of the trans flag. Let's go.
We love to see it around here.
Yep.
Love to see it.
And gameplay wise, it looks cool, and I'm always for just in general, even if I don't have the experience with Guilty Gear games, them just going crazy with redesigns for these characters, and like with gameplay wise or design wise or whatever.
This game just continues to be fucking stunning. Just every character I see, because like now it's not like I'm a Guilty Gear expert, but I've dabbled in several of the older ones, like most of them for just like one session. But I've dabbled in them, so I've seen some of these, and like every time when you go back and look, like the Strive redesigns for everyone are just always like 10 out of 10. Like the things they change are just so cool, where it's like it still looks like the character, but it just like even the sprite work, like it just static sprite or whatever, always just looks insane. And when you see this, like, no fighting game looks. There's very few games on Earth that look as pretty as this game does in motion. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
it's absurd.
Indeed.
And this makes me, because immediately design wise, I think their design is amazing, and like I'm always down for suave androgynous, characters. That's definitely my jam. And then gameplay wise, they just look fast, but not super hard. So
Has the ease of use, 4 out of 5 stars.
That's what we'd like to see around here.
Well, Darby, after this, do you want more Guilty Gear characters?
I do, Joe.
Well, good news for you. They announced a Season Pass 2 with 4 more characters.
Oh, hot damn.
I think people might be a little disappointed depending how it goes, because I see people immediately throwing a list of 4 old characters. I'm like, you should expect maybe at least 1 or 2 new characters in there, maybe.
Yeah. So what was Gold Lewis and the other guy? There was 2 new ones?
Yes, there are 2 new ones in this one.
So yeah, you're probably going to have at least some split like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And expecting at least 1 or 2 from this, I imagine. But hopefully they have some prizes like this, because Jacko and Biken were the other 2 old characters that were brought back. Jacko was in the story mode like heavily, so that was no surprise. Biken was also not a surprise, and didn't get like the character that got redesigned the least out of the old characters from what I've seen, like gameplay and just design wise.
Yeah. Her assets are still quite large assets.
Yes, indeed.
Ridiculous.
And that's when they also announced crossplay, Darby. That crossplay will be coming soon between PC and the PlayStations.
All games should have that at this point. So yes, that is very, very good.
Yes,
Very, very
indeed.
good. Need to dive in more.
Indeed. All right, Darby. I heard you like TV shows occasionally.
Very occasionally, but yes.
I heard you like that God of War.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, well, I got good news for you. This comes from Nelly Adriva from Deadline. PlayStation flagship action-adventure franchise God of War is heading to television. Prime Video is in negotiations for a live-action TV series based on the hugely popular ancient mythology-themed game, sources said. I hear the series adaptation comes from the Expanse creators, executive producers Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby, and the Wheel of Time executive producer showrunner Rafe Judkins, as well as Sony Pictures Television and PlayStation Productions, which collaborate on all TV series based on the PlayStation games. Reps for Sony and Amazon Studios, which will likely co-produce, had no comment. Continuing to go on this crazy TV spree, Darby, expanding PlayStation across the globe.
They're not gonna stop at this point. That's for sure.
No. So I'm curious on a couple things. Like if they do this, How are they going to do it? Are they going to start with the old games? Are they going to go straight to 2018?
I fucking hope not.
Or maybe with flashbacks?
I think you start with 2018 with flashbacks. I think you allude to the previous stuff and allude heavily. I mean, I would actually make a lot of those scenes out and everything, but definitely my interest in this would dip tremendously. I don't want to watch even one whole season of the old Kratos. I would way rather that just be his tormented past, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're in a similar boat.
Yep, and obviously as someone who has not played the God of War 8 2018 was my first God of War, it works not having played those games.
It does. They get that across. They get his past across it.
I think it helped that, you know, I knew a lot of details of the God of War, so that helps. So yeah, I think actually having maybe some flashbacks or going a little more into that during the show would work.
Right. It's like, because I think God of War TV show has some promise just from a storytelling perspective, but not until that 2018 one. I mean, I think before they were just way more, the gameplay is really good, and that's the thing or whatever, but the story is very much a product of its time, and I do not think it would be a black and white, completely different show from that period to the other. So I think flashbacks is the way to do it. And I think that is probably how they will do it. I think Sony seems pretty aware that God of War is not story-wise remembered as fondly as, you know, it's like, I think I think they would be smart about this. Yes. That would be my prediction. Yeah. So.
I agree. But also, I have not watched The Expanse in a real time, but I know a lot of people like it, so I guess it's good that these people's names are potentially attached to this show.
Yeah, I mean, with any of these, I'm like, there's many ways it could go wrong, but there's, I similar to the Last of Us thing, I think there could be some promise there, you know, if it's done right.
Indeed. All right, Darby. I heard you also like that Arcane.
Love it.
I heard also you're a Riot Games fanboy. You love them, everything they do.
It's every decision they have ever made. Yep. I love.
We got them.
Especially when they permanently suspended my account the other day, gave me a heart attack only to say that it was a mistake and reversed it. But damn,
that was my favorite decision.
I was about to be a really not a Riot fan, but you know, we cool.
This comes from Adele Ankers from IGN. Riot Games, the creator of League of Legends, has bought a significant non-controlling stake in the animation studio behind Netflix Arcane. Riot Games has strengthened its longtime partnership with Vortex Production, the studio handling animation duties for Arcane, for a new equity investment that will see the League of Legends developer and publisher taking a non-controlling stake and board advisory role in the company, following a recent collaboration on the hit Netflix series. Under the terms of the investment, which closed earlier this year, the board advisory roles at Vortex will be headed up by Riot's Director of Corporate Development, Brendan Mulligan, and Riot's Chief Content Officer, Brian Wright. Wright is a former Netflix executive who was hired in September to develop the company's global film, TV, and animation strategies.
Hell yeah! Just keep investing more in that. I want just the hardcore. I want a bunch of teams on this.
Yeah, it's not a controlling thing, but it's also kind of like we want to keep you around for this up, and you know it's a full animation studio. You would know this more than have they worked with them before Arcane, like to do like maybe trailers or some shit?
Not sure.
You'd may also do that, like cool announcement trailers or something.
I expect that after all these game announcements we've seen and how big Arcane was, I just expect them to like blow this thing up and just start making lots of different projects at the same time. You know, just like similar to the game thing. I just like anytime I just see them, I just want to see Riot like go more all in this direction because I think there's a lot of promise with that universe, and as soon as like Arcane's just so fucking good, and now like I really want them to be making like another series that's set somewhere else in the universe that doesn't really touch Arcane at all, and except in maybe minor ways, and then you know like, I want the MCU. I want that.
I'm all for Tish Studio or Productions who's just gotta be League of Legends studio, of course, if you know that's what they want to do, right? You know, as long as they're not like being completely forced, all that kind of stuff. If they want to do that, then great, because like you're saying, there's and we've talked about there's so much potential there. Like, they can do a completely different tone and stories time with this stuff. So hopefully, you know, even if they're still doing League of Legends stuff, they're feeling good, like creatively doing all this stuff.
I think you could, because you can make like almost kid show or something with
Yeah.
New and Wolf. You have a completely different like art style and vibe and everything. You can make a horror thing. You can make so many things. It's like,
Yeah.
you can do a bunch. And I just want to see Riot like be like, yep, this is like a pillar of our company at this point. Is that we're gonna expand.
And I had forgotten and just remembered about Project L, the fighting game. I'm like, let's go.
Well, that's freaking good.
Excited for that one.
I that's one of the games I'm most like impatient about. I wish that it could come out sooner, but no, it's gonna take some time. They just look so damn good.
I wonder if because you may not know this, but during the EVO announcement when they were announcing the games, one of the brothers or whatever who had it, where it was in the background.
I didn't see that. It also, but I mean, he's also just very tied to EVO.
Oh,
anyway,
I know.
So it could
No.
But
No. I'm just saying, there's a chance we could get
There's a
something
chance.
there.
Yeah,
because at least it's an avenue for it, because he obviously has those connections.
Right.
So why wouldn't they potentially, if they haven't announced it, why wouldn't they announce something at EVO?
Oh, absolutely. I'm
not saying expect it, but saying it's a possibility.
I expect next year to be the next time that we see it, but it's certainly.
Oh, wait.
There's a chance. There's a chance.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm forgetting. Didn't they say in the last update that we were probably going to get like 2 updates this upcoming year? One like
I don't remember.
I
but
think
if they said that, then
I do
yeah,
think they said like one towards the middle of the year
then
potentially.
that's definitely EVO.
I might be remembering wrong, but I think that is something that was said.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, time for other news.
Other news.
We got some big news in here, so we'll see how long we talk about some of this stuff. First one, Elden Ring Darby, that game we talked about. Sold 12 million copies in like 2.5 weeks.
I guess that's all right.
Yeah, the fastest selling non-Nintendo and I guess Sony Japanese game ever.
All right, Jeff, tell the kids that you were wrong.
I was wrong.
I wasn't wrong. It was just you.
Okay, yeah.
Nah, we were dead
We
wrong.
underestimate. We expected it to sell well and be the best selling FromSoft game for sure.
We definitely did a little bit of making fun of people who were saying that Elden Ring was gonna like sell more than Horizon and things like that. We definitely did a little bit of making fun of that concept, and we were wrong.
We were.
We can admit that.
What makes me feel better about that is that those people also were shocked about these sales. So
Everyone
we
was
all
shocked.
underestimated it.
Bandai Namco was shocked about these sales.
They were saying like they expected to sell like 4 million by the end of March or something. That was their hopes.
It's wild, and I think that was a fair hope. That was where my expectations were. It was like somewhere around that mark. Yeah, this is bonkers. This is like Skyrim type levels of like kind of blowing up and getting to expanding past the hardcore gaming market to where it's just being talked about everywhere, which is just remarkable for how much this just feels like FromSoft leveling up their FromSoftness.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't really feel like this game is like we're targeting 12 million sales. It's like I'm sure FromSoft is also a little like, oh, okay,
Where do we go from here?
Jeez. Jesus.
Yeah, like you're saying, this is like this was a natural this was an easy progression for them to do. It is just normal from software, just more in an open world and stuff, which is enough for us, enough for a lot of people.
You love to see it. I mean, you love to see someone being rewarded for just making the game they want to make, and like no concessions. This is just like what they do, what they like doing, and it was like, hey, there's an audience for this. Hey, there's even more of an audience for this. God damn, there's an audience for this. It just like keeps going,
Yeah.
Which it's awesome. It's great. It's one of the more feel good video game release like to critical success that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. So regardless of anything, just expect Elden Ring to win the vast majority of GOTY awards because everyone's played it.
Even with such a hard year, but like big year.
I think what will let's say Breath of the Wild 2 comes out and it is as great as we can imagine and everything and all that kind of stuff. The fact it's going to be obviously a giant game and probably coming out very late in the year means a lot of people will not finish this game. Game. Elden Ring people have plenty of time to finish it.
Yeah. Just lots of big games this year. Just long, big games.
Yep. Well, speaking of games coming out late in the year, Gotham Knights has a release date. October 25th. Announcing it pretty far in advance. They must feel pretty confident about that.
I feel pretty good about this game. I mean, how it is and how it's going to sell too. I mean, when I look at it, especially the co-op thing is kind of what saves my interest in it. Not that it looked bad before or whatever, but like I'm like, the more I think about it, the more I'm interested in like playing with you or Travis wants to play it. Like my friend Travis wants to play it too. Like I'm more interested in that now, and like the just kind of going co-op through this thing. Like, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun, kind of sneaking around doing Batman things and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm inherently interested in this. The Arkham games with Batman,
and it's kind of cool to have some of the non-Batman characters. Like some of the more
the Bat
extraneous,
family.
The Bat family. So.
Yep, not ones that are the obvious play because we played as Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon before, but Red Hurt a little bit. But we're getting Red Robin and stuff, which is not as obvious.
Yeah, at least for me, I don't play a lot of these. So yeah, like Red Hood, Batgirl, Nightwing. I mean, I love all them. They're all cool, so.
Be a good time.
Uh-huh.
But yes, I feel confident.
Halloween vibes.
Yeah, I feel confident that it's gonna hit this release date and be good. Oh shit. Forspoken got delayed from May to October 11th.
Sad.
Yep.
Sad.
Yeah. It was funny. They announced this and then immediately was in that state of play that we talked about earlier. Kind of the release date. So go ahead and get the bad news out of the way.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's gonna change how this game is received or sells or anything, depending on where if it came out in May or October that much. I mean, October might be more crowded.
That's kind of why because right now May is empty, pretty empty.
It would have been nice.
October
it's
starting to look probably more full, and I'm still like, okay, we gotta talk about this real quick. What do you think if this changed anything for Final Fantasy 16? Like our expectations for that.
My thought of Final Fantasy 16 actually coming out this year has been dwindling.
Mine hasn't changed like a crazy amount, just because they've said throughout this whole thing, like when we talk about this game again, we want it to come out shortly afterwards, and they've said explicitly we're talking about it in spring. So as of right now, my expectations have changed. Is potentially 16 coming out before Forspoken. If anything, it could come out in November, like a month later. But I can also see it coming out maybe a little early. And
Square has shown that they're not afraid to put their games out way too close together.
Well, I mean, later in this year, we're supposed to get Dio Field and Valkyrie Elysium at the very least as well. Which
can't wait for it to come out a week after Forspoken or something.
Jesus. I could see it if, as long as stuff hasn't changed and they're still keeping with that, they're talking about in spring. It's supposed to come out shortly afterwards. I can see an August release date.
So you thinking like June to August, like announced in June to come out in August?
Yeah, or PlayStation also is not afraid to do these state of plays close together, because why should they? We could just suddenly get, hey, here's a state of play for Final Fantasy 16.
It is weird that we still literally have only seen the announced trailer.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why they said they want to do it close or whatever. It's like they don't want to have this drawn out thing with multiple trailers.
It's so different than every other Final Fantasy marketing cycle. Even Remake had like 12 trailers or some shit. It's like
so again, I can see it being. We can see it as early as next month for May or something, and it coming out in like August, September.
I guess I've just had too many times where I was like, oh yeah, I really think it's going to be shown at this thing, and it never was. So I've like gotten gun shy with it. But I think you might be right. You could be right. I could also even see like a December release date or something.
At the very least, I think based on what it looked like, Forspoken may have needed this time in the oven. They said as much. I don't feel like they're going to move their plans, at least not significantly, for Final Fantasy 16 for Forspoken.
I think as long as it's like a month out at least, I think they'll pull the trigger on it. Like I don't think I think all this does is say that 16 probably will not release in October. That's the only thing that I feel somewhat confident about.
Yeah. Dead Space has been delayed to early 23, and I know what you're thinking. It was supposed to come out this year. Apparently, yes.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
They had a little stream thing where they kind of said this, and they had a little stream thing talking about like auto design. I didn't really listen to that. Also, the reaction to these Dead Space streams, like this one and the last one, show why devs do not show things early. Like and they are very secret about this shit because everyone's like, this looks so bad. It looks worse than the original. It's like, guys, this is early. Yeah. It's not done. That's how this works.
Completely. I mean, people will just...
The lighting is not done.
I mean, if I was a game developer, I do kind of understand. Like, it kind of in a lot of ways sucks that the video game industry is secretive, but it's like it's such a headache. Like, I would always rather just like it's fucking out. You know, it's like boom.
Yeah.
Right, here's the announcement trailer. We're gonna go dark for 3 years. Boom, it's out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Dead Space is definitely I have it in the category where I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm completely putting it out of my brain. Like whenever it gets close to out, I'll bring it back up to the forefront of hype. But until then, I'm just like, nope. Now the site, out of mind.
Yep, I'm definitely interested in it. Something I'm also very interested in is Moss Book 2 Darby. Suddenly they decided, like, yo, here's a release date, March 31st.
11 days.
Yeah, let's go, baby. I'm very excited for this one. Love the first Moss. Based on what I've seen from previews and what they said, they really are kind of expanding like what you can do to the game, like adding more combat options and just kind of making the actual like locations and the little things kind of bigger and just having more stuff in it. And Daniel Bloodworth from Easy Allies had a offhands like demo thing of it because can't have unless you go somewhere. Can't have on hands demo. But he seemed to be very impressed with it, and yeah, I'm excited. Definitely, we'll talk about that when it comes out. Time to plug in that PlayStation VR.
Whenever you do, give me some Beat Saber because I've just been too lazy to do all the chords.
Finally, for the other news, no EA Play Live this summer. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, EA.
Nothing of value was really lost.
Yeah, I'm curious what was the decision maker for this as far like because this is weirdly the year where they would actually have stuff to talk about because they have Dead Space, they have Dragon Age, they have Jedi Fallen Order.
Do they have Dragon Age?
They might have Dragon Age.
This might be telling that they do not have Dragon Age.
True. And I know I think there was a couple other things, but it's like they maybe had stuff for a decent show.
Yeah.
Depending how they formatted it. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm happy they're not doing anything. They've always sucked.
Even, I mean, you listed 3 games. Those 3 games could just be in the Microsoft press comments and we're fine. It's like,
well, I think what's going to happen is for Jedi at the very least, they can announce that at any time, and I think it's at least going to be shown for the first time or have a teaser trailer and then shown gameplay for the first time at the Star Wars thing they have like in May. I think it's in May.
May the 4th probably.
Yeah. I feel like it's later in the month for some reason. I might be
How
wrong.
do you have May the 4th and then not have
I don't know. Whatever thing they do, Star Wars. Yeah, I guess it probably is May the 4th. Whatever. Probably then is when they'll probably show off Jedi Fallen Order 2, at least something for it.
Are people thinking that's this year? I really have not had my finger in the pulse of.
Apparently, that's what I've seen. I don't pay attention to Star Wars.
It's been since 2019. I mean, very well could have.
Oh, for Jedi Fallen Order? Oh yeah, people were like for sure thinking like it's coming out this year.
Yeah. Cool.
People seem pretty confident in it. EA might have said as much. I can't remember.
Interesting.
So yeah, one less conference.
A-okay with me. Don't think I've ever enjoyed one of them. Sorry to be mean, but truth hurts.
Yeah. All right, Darby. It's time for the main topic.
Ooh, I don't even know what's going on here. Main topic. You're seeing the doc. Whoops. Let me. You can't see the secrets. The secrets.
I guess.
Where's the presentation button? Or slideshow.
Wait, where is it?
Top right.
All right.
Let me. Okay. All right. Hey, we're good.
Okay. So
I think you just click to go forward.
All right, Darby. I had a little presentation for you and the people.
I'm very excited.
We like to do this sometimes. Well, most of me. You're supposed to work on this for something.
Do my homework and being called out.
You know, when it comes to rosters, Darby, we like to really think of what's going to happen. And there was a fighting game we talked about.
Oh yeah, I have not done this for my game. That was not bad.
Jojo Fighter Idea /1.
All right, nice.
For Jojo All-Star Battle.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So what I've done for this, gonna go ahead and do spoiler warning for JoJo's parts 3 through 6.
Okay.
The way I had this set up, I'm not familiar with parts 7 and 8, so I'm just excluding characters from that
Okay.
because I have not read them. Don't want to spoil myself on that stuff. I'm gonna try to read those mangas before this game comes out. I just picked 3 characters from those 3 parts. I'm going to go in order of parts, so if you read up to a certain watch to a certain point, particularly part 6, since that's ongoing now, just when I get to that point, you can people who bow out. And this is partly fun, so Dari to react to character designs and stands and shit. All right, let's start with part 3. Indol.
That's not how I would have pronounced it.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Nadal.
No. He's a blind man.
Oh, nice.
He is in Eyes of Heaven, and what his stand is Geb. He controls water. So they have a little fight in the desert where Indol can use like sound and shit to find where people are and uses water to attack.
He's fucking waterbender. He's guitar up.
And what Eyes of Heaven did, which would be a cool fighting thing, is because he is blind and just in this fight, he just stood in one place and sat down. You have the main fighter just kind of staying in place while you mainly control this water. Yeah,
So
to go around.
You just have to protect him.
Yeah,
the whole time. That's
maybe that's around a little bit with that.
That's pretty
It works better in a giant 3D arena fighter.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, but it'd be fun to make it work.
Maybe you can like nudge him or something.
Yeah.
Nudge him away.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. That's cool.
Another character that was in Eye of Heaven is Mariah.
Oh. Women in my JoJo?
Yes. Her stand is Bastet.
Is that a wall outlet?
Yes.
Go on.
So she kind of like controls magnetism, where she can kind of make things like touch objects and make it like the North Pole and the South Pole on a magnet, so they are attracted to each other. They did this with 2 of the main characters from part 3 where they were stuck to each other, and people thought they were like having sex in public together or something just because they were stuck together. And do this with objects, so touch them and then suddenly like a giant trash can or dumpster will come. It's coming towards you, flying towards you.
That's incredible.
So that's a fun thing to do. Remember, so just kind of have them like punch it, and suddenly maybe a delayed thing item comes and hits you or something.
That would be fun. Yeah.
And yep.
I was thinking it was like a tag fighter or something, which it's not. But if it was, like, what if you punched one and punched the other, and they both like we're stuck together?
Well, I mean, what they could do for a fun thing is it does have assist, and she would be a new character to this game. Is have that idea where she does it, she attacks you, and then suddenly your tag partner comes in and slams into you real quick.
That could be funny. Like,
the fun little gag thing, or maybe the super or something.
Yeah, like stuns them.
Yeah, because they do have crazy supers, like cinematic supers and this stuff, which are great.
That could be sweet. Yeah.
Which could be fun if we wanted to wait till it came out. We're not playing it specifically for like you. Do one of those like rate the super things like Max and other people do, just for the JoJo thing.
We should do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wait till that comes out on all the characters. The final part, the character I have is Pet Shop.
What a name.
Yes. For listeners, he is a falcon.
Just a falcon.
Yep.
He has a hat.
Yep. And his fight was against Iggy the dog.
Oh, nice.
And his stand is Horus.
Jesus.
And it controls ice. So this falcon just controls ice.
Damn.
Which is pretty brutal. This falcon's the sadistic son of a bitch.
So is it intelligent?
Yes, it is very intelligent. Him and Iggy are very intelligent creatures. Nice. And they kind of like talk to each other and all that kind of stuff. And they actually have voice actors and stuff. Nice. Talk to each other. Pet Shop was also in Eyes of Heaven. So they put him in a fighting game before. They could do it again. And Iggy is in this game, so the fact that he would have a much smaller hitbox.
So, like, when they in the Eyes of Heaven thing, were their stands just always out, or did they have like a non-stand form and then they had to summon the stand?
So they do. you just kind of do the move and the stand comes out and that kind of stuff. And it might be a little depending on what the stand actually did. In this game, actually, I probably should have mentioned it when we were talking about the game earlier. I have not played the game. I just read what other people say. Apparently, it does have the 4 face buttons on it. So like for PlayStation, the triangle, circle, square, X, etc. The triangle, square, and X for the default are like the heavy, light, and heavy, or heavy, light, and middle attacks.
Yeah.
Basic like punches and maybe that kind of stuff. Maybe a little stand action in there. And I think the circle button is supposed to be the power button, where it's primarily what the stand powers do.
So you were at some point you are fighting as just a falcon.
Yeah.
It's just like a little falcon like flying it.
Yes, you were a falcon.
That's amazing.
And let's get to the part 4, Darby. I guess let me know, Darby, if any of these characters in particular you want. I got an idea what we can do for this, kind of similar to what we did with Pokemon Unite, because we have two of the 10 characters already confirmed. On the both part 5, so the numbers of this stuff were messed up, but fuck it, and it's not going to be the way it works.
Right.
Based on what I have told you here, you pick 2 characters to fill out the other 8.
Okay.
From each part. So we got Mariah, Indole, and Pet Shop.
Okay.
What two are you thinking of for this?
Definitely Pet Shop.
Okay.
Definitely Pet Shop. I think Mariah too. The medic polls just seems that's very, very good. Very weird. And I respect JoJo's weirdness. Their bizarreness is someone may say.
Okay, part 4. We are getting the first one is Yukako Yamagishi.
That hair.
Well, funny you point out her hair, Darby. Her stand is
Shantae.
Love Deluxe, where she controls her hair.
She is Shantae.
Yeah, so which she was also in Eyes of Heaven. Yeah, she fights with her hair. It can grow to a certain degree. She uses it for like whips and to like grab people and strangle them and all that kind of shit. It has like endurance in a way, where if you attack the hair or she uses it too much, her hair kind of gets weakened and turns white.
What?
So you can kind of use that in there, maybe like going crazy with it. And obviously that just makes it easy enough fighting moves over there, just having her hair like Mila and Guilty Gear. So
Absolutely.
that's a simple enough
just
thing.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a decent chance she's in, especially since she's in Eyes of Heaven.
Love Deluxe, these names.
Yeah. Kicho Nichimura.
You could put a cup on his head.
Yes. He is the brother of one of the main characters of part 4, but he started out as a villain. He dies early. So we don't get to see him too much. So he'd be kind of like one of those characters that's kind of a one-off.
He's the Raditz.
Yeah. But his stand is Bad Company.
He just summons a bunch of soldiers.
Yes, he literally summons a bunch of toy soldiers, toy tanks, toy choppers.
Okay, I've heard about this, yeah.
Yes, and that is how he fights.
Very nice.
That is his stand ability. So just using his ability to just summon all this stuff and maybe having them like over the field or something.
Okay, yep. Very tricky weirdo.
He has not been in a fighting game as far as I know. So this would be
nice.
First time.
I like it. I like it.
I think that would be fun.
I do like it. I like the weird, tricky, technical character.
Yep. And the last one for part 4 is Mikitaka Hazakura. You might be thinking he looks weird.
He looks regal.
He describes himself as an alien.
I was about to say his like little badge looks like
he thinks he's an alien. The show is very kind of ambiguous whether he's an actual alien or not. So his stand ability, people were questioning whether and the author again is playing coy with it, if it's an actual stand or he's just an alien who has these abilities.
Okay.
And his stand's name or ability name is Earth, Wind, and Fire. And his ability allows him to kind of transform his body and kind of shapeshift and all that kind of stuff. He can turn his hand into like hammers and swords and shit and just kind of change his body like that. He made it his like bottom half of his torso so his legs be like a cord that someone grabbed on. It's like, no, you grabbed onto me. Trick them.
Okay.
But he cannot change his body until something that's like heavier than what he can hold. So he can't turn himself to like a giant boulder like make his hand like a giant boulder or something like that.
The
Because he
weird
cannot
rules.
physically lift it up.
Okay. All right. Weird rules of JoJo.
And yes, that is him. This is the weird alien. Maybe has a standout on it.
So I don't know. Do you think? What do you think? Like, is it gameplay wise? Like, someone like tries to grab you, but if you if you counter with that or something, they just grab. Like, I don't know.
I just kind of
grab something
I
else
will
and get
say
like-
this, and it becomes more apparent later on. Some of the pictures to show some of the characters and stands were kind of hard to find.
Nah, that's
So-
why I'm asking you
Yeah,
more of like.
I was thinking
what
it for a
should-
lot, especially basic ones. He kind of turns his hands into like hammers and shit, and kind of does crazy shit like that. And then there is this weird thing where he like turns his body into like a ribbon-looking thing to kind of be more wiggly and harder to hit. So you may do something with that.
Yeah. Okay.
So out of the 3 for this part 4, which 2?
What was the middle guy again? What was his
Bad
thing?
Company.
Oh yeah, definitely him. Definitely him.
Mhm.
Oh no, I'll go with Hair Lady. I like hair
All right.
attacking people. That's always fun. It's kind of basic, but it's kind of fun. Is this the fucking Riddler that he's fighting?
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
It looks like the Riddler.
All right, going on to part 5. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Chocolata, weird green haired dude. Let's see.
This guy looks like the alien.
Yes, we're getting to the point where characters look weirder, Darby, as
Right.
you will tell.
Right.
And his stand is none other than Green Day.
Hell yeah. Okay, I know about Green Day.
And his ability is to spread deadly mold that consumes flesh.
Hell yeah.
So I guess with this, what you could do, this is one of those characters that not as obvious for a fighting game, but they're adding the guy who ages people.
I know, yeah.
So you can have this maybe just like you attack them and they have the mold on them. They just kind of like take damage over time, kind of
It'll
thing.
be a poison character.
Yeah, maybe doing that.
I like it. I'm down with it.
Next character is Seko,
Ooh.
who is his partner. His I'll just go on to the next thing. His stand is called Oasis, and his stand is actually like the clothes or whatever the outfit he is wearing. It takes like control of his body. It's not like an actual physical thing like a lot of these other ones.
Okay.
And it allows him to kind of like liquefy the earth, so he kind of like swims through it.
That could be very fun.
Yeah, so
For
he can go
mobility.
underground, come up, and all that kind
I
of
like that a
crazy
lot.
stuff.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And the last part 4 character I have is Risotto Nero.
Oh, look at that, man.
Yep. And his stand is Metallica.
Now, what the hell is going on here?
So yeah, this is one of those that was very hard to find a picture actually showing his stand. But what Metallica does, it's pretty much Magneto.
Okay.
Kind of like controls metal and stuff, and kind of like send these guys into bodies to kind of maybe like destroy from the inside, kind of thing.
Gross.
Yeah, he's a pretty brutal. Surprisingly, none of these characters that I have listed for part 5 are in Eyes of Heaven, so they would all be completely
Yeah.
new fighters to
Nice.
a JoJo game. And Nero in particular, he is very prominent in part 5, so I'm kind of surprised he hasn't been playable.
So I mean, does he just insta kill people by just shooting a bunch of metal weirdos into him? Like,
Yeah, he is probably has one of the more OP stands for sure.
he's already like in the air and he just goes like, "Arr," and a bunch
Pretty
of
much,
metal guys
yeah.
go ahead. Okay.
Not like not as much of a physical thing as a lot of the other ones. Like, a lot of these have these giant normal human sized
Yeah.
humanoid things.
Which is creepy.
Um,
Okay, so we had metal guy. Are we done?
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this part? We had definitely want the guy who swims.
mhm.
I think
You
I
got-
want Green Day. I just
Okay,
want to
Green
say
Day
that,
and
yeah.
Oasis
Yeah,
we're
I
getting
like
in?
this guy a lot.
Yeah.
This is a very strong list here.
Yeah.
This has been the strongest list probably, but yeah.
All right. So let's see. Let me do up to make sure I have the thing right. Do-do-do.
Those some creepy ass little dudes.
Getting to part 6, which where people might fall off, so I guess warning for that because the anime ongoing and all that shit.
Well, goodbye if that is you.
Bye, Alex. Foo Fighters.
Hell yeah.
So This is
Plural.
the person, Darby, and I actually used a band's name for them. So what happened with this character is there was another character. I don't remember her name because she was nothing. She died, and then the Stan Foo Fighters took over its body. So this is a Stan that's actually sentient. It's like sentient plankton, and that is its stand. Which allows her, like, she has the big version of it, the humanoid, and on the right we have the little plankton-sized versions of it that she uses to like seal her wounds and all that kind of shit, or she can use to shoot out. She like breaks her fingers kind of like open up, and she like shoots the plankton at people.
Very weird. I like it.
Yep, and yeah, rapid regeneration stuff. She's one of the main characters of Part 6, but for some reason has not been playable in these games. So she's one of those characters where I'm just assuming she is probably in this game, or at least / hoping, because she is awesome. She's awesome. Next character I have is Sportsmax.
Names. And
his stand is none other than Limp Bizkit.
Oh my god.
So Limp Bizkit's a weird one. When Sportsmax kills someone, they come back as invisible zombies.
Okay. Okay.
So moveset could be just sending like invisible humanoid projectiles going towards you and attacking the opponent. And also in Part 6 at some point, he kills himself. So he comes back as a zombie. So his own stand affects him.
So that should be some sort of super thing.
Yeah.
It's like he just
like install super kind of thing. Yeah.
He goes invisible. And it's like, I like it. Very strong. Definitely him.
Yep. And finally, we have...
sorry, I thought we were...
All right. Weather Report. You understand Darby's reaction if you have seen this character.
Go on.
His stand is Weather Report / Heavy Weather.
Okay.
So his stand has two parts to it because he has amnesia at some point. So he just kind of calls himself by his stand's name, Weather Report. Weather Report, as the name might imply, controls the weather. He can kind of control it. So very powerful. Has a lot of stuff going on, Darby. At some point, he gets his his memory back. And he may not be the best guy. And remembers, oh yeah, my stand can do some other shit. And it kind of evolves to Heavy Weather. And Darby, what this does, and there's no good picture for it, unfortunately, is he like summons rainbows. And because of the light refraction and some shit, if you see it, subliminal messages go into your head and makes you think you're a snail. And because of this, therefore, your body turns into a snail.
So if that's how that works, if I just sit here and convince myself I'm a snail, I'll become a snail.
By subliminal messaging, yes.
Well, obviously, him. I mean, what are we saying? You know, it's not just like automatic KO win or something.
Probably super. He's in Eyes of Heaven. I did not mess with him because I had not done Part 6 at the time. Really,
in your version of this fighting game,
that's
just the automatic KO.
Yeah,
it's like really hard to do, but
yeah.
It's like they just become a snail, and it's like a little pause. You wins.
Yep. Yep.
Or he just like steps on the snail.
Yeah, Weather Report's in Eyes of Heaven, so I'm 100% expecting him to be in.
Oh yeah, obviously. And then the Limp Bizkit guy, I don't even remember what the first
Sportsmax. Yeah. No Foo Fighters.
Sportsmax. Yeah, that was another strong. Foo Fighters was good, but Sportsmax and Weather Report. What the fuck is the show?
Sportsmax, wasn't even the stand name. It was Limp Bizkit.
Oh my god.
Those are the fighters I present to you.
Okay, is that the
three from those 4 parts.
Hell yeah. What is Jojo? I can't believe there's still people for me to be completely like blindsided by with Jojo with how much I've talked about it.
Yep. Yep. Well, probably because of this stuff. Alex hasn't even seen these characters.
Wild. Where that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. JoJo's weird, y'all.
I'm excited for this game, Darby.
Absolutely. I will do my League of Legends version of this for Project though. I will do it eventually. I'll do my homework. I'm sorry, teacher.
Okay, I'll forgive you.
But thank you guys so much for watching the podcast. That was very good, Jeff.
Yep.
Very impressed. Excited to see. Excited for you to turn me into a snail.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to it.
I expect us to talk about, obviously, when JoJo characters get announced and whatever things that, at least talk about a little bit whenever that happens. And yeah, all that. Especially when the game comes out.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, sign us off with your favorite JoJo quote.
The world.
The good one.